dear Lord, you can play it to get some free money out of it, but it is convoluted as crap. So a group of anonymous developers plan to launch an Ethereum proof of work fork after the merge next week. Learn how to ensure to receive your ETHW tokens. So to receive them, there's a whole bunch of steps here, but a coalition of developers and miners plan to fork the Ethereum blockchain after the merge. Doing so will create a new proof of work chain that will match users' ETH balances with an equal amount of a new coin called ETHW. ETHW will likely hold some value and can be sold on centralized exchanges that support its trading. There are quite a few exchanges now already supporting this, which is pretty crazy. But be extremely careful here, because what's going to happen is there's going to be a lot of scams surrounding this. People are going to try to get you to, like, basically send them the ETH and then you'll get 2 tokens back and all this kind of scammy stuff. I still don't think that during the merge you should keep your Ethereum in like a centralized exchange like Poloniex, which will be one that'll technically give you both, apparently, if you have ETH in their deal. I also don't know the viability of the proof of work chain and if it'll even be a thing, but there are some miners that are planning this. The fork, commonly referred to as ETH Proof of Work, will share the same transaction history as the main Ethereum network, but start creating its own blocks after the merge update goes live. Because the Proof of Work fork starts from the Ethereum network's pre-merge state, all token balances of smart contracts will be carried over. This means that everyone holding ETH on chain will end up having an equal balance of ETHW on the forked ETH Proof of Work chain. ETH Work will be native only to the Proof of Work fork and represent an entirely different asset than the original ETH on Ethereum. Here's the thing about it, right? I'm not necessarily opposed to it as an idea, meaning if they can actually basically have a snapshot of Ethereum and keep it proof of work, and something happens to Ethereum when it moves to proof of stake, there is kind of that backup, that snapshot. We've talked about this in the past of basically kind of the backup for ease of use would be Ethereum Classic. It's the one I think most people would prefer, you know, developers wouldn't use, but having a fully up-to-date one, I think there's an argument for it. However, if Ethereum is completely successful for the move and the transition to proof of stake, ETH proof of work will basically be a dead chain right off the bat. Because why? Well, the developers are going to be on Ethereum. It's not like Ethereum developers with all of their tokens and their Shiba Inus and their Bored Ape Yacht Clubs and all of that are going to go over and start, you know, maintaining the ETH proof of work chain. Basically a copy pasta, and it probably won't be further developed. That's the reality of it. However, like I said, there is kind of this nice idea of basically having a snapshot of it in case something happened to Ethereum during the transition, and devs then were just like, oh, well, you know, it's still running over here, pop over here and keep going with all of our projects. It's kind of cool to have a backup there. I'm not necessarily against that. Now, that being said, I do not trust the people that are at the helm, right? I don't trust Chandler Go. I don't trust Justin Sun in these to handle this particular transition. So there is that to take into account as well. For many Ethereum believers, the planned proof of work fork is of little interest as an investment. Virtually all DeFi, NFT, and network infrastructure protocols have publicly announced that they will support the proof of stake chain, leaving the proof of work fork in a tough spot. Upon its launch, decentralized exchanges on the fork will likely cease to function, and centralized stablecoins like USDC and USDT will be worthless, right? Because essentially, if you're just copy-pasting it over, there is nothing backing those stablecoins on ETH work, and that's a big deal. That means mass liquidations and many DeFi protocols just being broke right off of the bat. Despite the proof of work fork having to start from square one, there is one token that will likely hold some value, and they're saying that's ETHW. Like the 2016 DAO hack fork that created Ethereum Classic, the proof of work fork could also have some loyal supporters who continue to develop it, creating demand for its token. Conversely, those who don't believe the fork will go anywhere may want to sell their ETHW tokens after the merge to pocket some extra gains. But what's the best way to ensure you receive your ETHW? Which exchanges plan to support the proof of work fork? and they say you can read on. So the centralized exchanges right now that are supposedly going to support this would be Poloniex, and they've already listed it. We've talked about it before. Binance, MEXC, Gate.io, and FTX will all support ETH proof of work and also plan to credit users' accounts ETH work at a 1-to-1 ratio for ETH. So however much ETH you have in there, you'll technically get ETHW as well. OKX is also supposed to list and support trading for ETHW. And BitMEX has launched ETH proof of work, or Z22, a USDT margin ETH proof of work linear futures contract. Coinbase and Kraken have said they will receive or review an ETH proof of work fork like any other asset and list it for trading if appropriate. You know, I think it'd be smart not to for Coinbase, but we'll see where it goes from here. So those unable or unwilling to deposit their ETH onto one of those exchanges, which I highly advise against, by the way, because frankly, these have ended up, you know, this could put you in a very tight spot if they shut down. We're in the middle of a bear market. Holding majority of your funds within a centralized exchange is not a good idea in a bear market. It's really not a good idea either in a bull market, but in a bull market, there's a lot less likelihood that you're going to get withdrawals and stuff like that shut down. In a bear market, you're pretty much guaranteed that things are going to start, like platforms, centralized platforms are going to start dropping like flies. I mean, hell, even Poolin has, right, at this point. So if you're unable to do that, holding ETH in a non-custodial Ethereum wallet guarantees that your address will receive the ETHW on new proof of work fork. So I suppose that means you can just utilize MetaMask. So taking custody, a non-custodial wallet should be the quickest way to access your ETHW after the merge. While users on centralized exchanges may need to wait hours or even days for their ETHW to hit their accounts, taking control of your ETH funds is the surest way to guarantee you will have access to your proof of work fork coins. However, the trade-off is that accessing the new proof of work chain requires some technical knowledge and could expose users to risk. Those taking this approach will need to add the proof of work network to their EVM wallet once it launches. Now, we've talked about this before, guys. You know, we've shown you guys how to add Ethereum Classic to MetaMask. I'll show you guys how to do this if you want. Just let me know in the comment section below and in the chat. You know, if it is a self-custodial wallet and all you're doing is connecting to a proof of work network that is basically a whole other chain and you get the proof of work tokens, you might as well take them for free. I don't see any negativity towards that. You know, take what you can. I still don't think you keep them in centralized exchanges. I think that you go this route, if anything. So, you know, it's going to be simple. We've done this before with, you know, Polygon. We've done this before with Ethereum Classic. It's just adding the ETH proof of work chain's name, the RPC URL, and the chain ID. And that's pretty much all it's going to take you to get that done. The process is relatively simple, like they say, similar to adding RPCs for Ethereum compatible chains like Polygon or Avalanche. Another consideration for those planning to self-custody their ETH ahead of the merge is consolidation. If your ETH is locked in a smart contract sitting on a layer 2 chain or staked through a protocol like Lido, it won't be matched with ETHW on the proof of work chain. To maximize the amount of ETH work you receive, it's a good idea to convert your assets into normal ETH and hold it in your wallet into the lead up into the merge. Now, this is interesting because what it's doing is incentivizing people to pull their Ethereum out of different layer 2 solutions prior to the merge. And it is technically kind of, you know, free money to a certain extent. I wonder how many people it's going to influence to do this, right? And if we're going to see liquidity issues on some of these layer 2 DeFi solutions, right? Like, are we going to see liquidity issues on things like Aave, things like Uniswap, all that sort of stuff, things with ST-ETH, right? So, because the point is you have to have all of your ETH on the mainnet to get it. Since all the tokens on the fork chain except ETHW will almost certainly be worthless, using decentralized exchanges is out of the question. Those wanting to cash out will still need to wait for centralized exchange to open ETHW deposits, which of course Poloniex already has. So there's that. To ensure you're prepared, consider setting up accounts on the various exchanges that will support ETHW in advance. That way, those who want can transfer over their ETHW at the earliest opportunity, potentially selling it for a higher price. Finally, it is essential to understand the risks associated with the merge and any new proof-of-work forks. One frequently mentioned danger is that if an Ethereum fork launches with the same chain ID as the main proof-of-stake chain, transactions could get relayed. This is where transactions signed on a fork chain could be validated on Ethereum's main proof-of-stake chain, allowing for new scams and potentially drain user wallets. While such scams are possible, it is doubtful that the proof-of-work fork will launch with the same chain ID. However, unscrupulous individuals may try to launch other forks designed to steal users' proof-of-stake ETH. Be careful before signing transactions on any ETH fork. If in doubt, don't do anything. It's better to miss out on a few $100s than lose your entire stack of ETH. The latest estimates project that the merge will occur between September 13th and 14th. If you're planning to send ETH to a centralized exchange or your own wallet, make sure you do so well ahead of time. Most exchanges plan to halt Ethereum transactions a few hours before the merge to ensure no user funds are lost, so don't leave things to the last minute. Whether you're sticking to exchanges or planning to self-custody your ETH, double check everything before sending transactions and stay safe. So what is happening? It does sound like there will be a fork to Ethereum to me. And it does sound like you're going to potentially get a one-to-one release of whatever ETH you're holding within, MetaMask or one of these exchanges. Or if you're just directly self-custodying, I shouldn't just say MetaMask, and you'll be able to connect and just see that one-to-one drop. Will it be worth much? More than likely no. Already, as we've seen, the ETHW that's on Poloniex is down to like $18 per ETHW. Now, of course, that isn't the real chain. And seeing that there is a ton of Ethereum already tied up in staking, etc., all of that won't be duplicated over to the new chain. So what do I mean by that, right? Like, as you can see, if the Ethereum is not real Ethereum, like Ethereum on the mainnet, the real ETH token, it's not generating anything additional, right? So if you have a wrapped version, whoever is kind of supporting that wrapped version on a layer 2 is the one that's going to get the one-to-one drop of that. So you would need to convert it to real ETH. But, there is still all of the locked up ETH that is in staking. And the question is like, if that gets duplicated, are those people that are staking even going to bother taking that out and actually selling it on an exchange? And if they do, how much further does it really tank it? I'm surprised that it seems to be getting actually done. I didn't expect it to actually get done in the first place, which is why, I was kind of very cautious around going and purchasing that on the Poloniex exchange, because there isn't an actual chain backing it up. Still, there's not an actual chain backing it up, so I still wouldn't recommend purchasing it. But it sounds to me like it is more likely than I had initially anticipated for ETHW to become a thing. Like I said, once again, it's kind of interesting to have an actual snapshot backup of Ethereum before the move to proof of stake in case something happens to Ethereum on proof of stake. That being said, other than that, I don't think any development's going to move over with it, which means you just have a dead chain with a bunch of dead and unbacked tokens, and that's kind of a problem. Thanks for checking out this clip from the Crypto Mining Show. You can check out the full episode here or more crypto content down here. Also, I'd like you to check out my locals page at sonofatech.locals.com, where you can become a member for free or choose to be a $5 a month supporter that unlocks additional content.